video, I will address common mistakes that are found on spousal sponsorship applications. This video is essentially made for you to further understand exactly what is required from you in these applications and in order to make the process a lot easier for you. A spousal sponsorship application is essentially made for any Canadian citizen or permanent resident that wishes their spouse to come to Canada on a permanent basis. For spousal sponsorship applications, you must ensure that all of the forms and documentation that you provide is complete and is filled out correctly in order for the application to be processed. When it comes to spousal sponsorship applications, IRCC, which was formerly CIC, usually updates these forms regularly in order to include or exclude certain questions as well as certain information that they do not need or they do need. The consequence of these changes that IRCC makes is that basically if you submit your application with the older forms, they can unfortunately refuse your application, return it back to you, and tell you to submit a new one. However, there can be a chance that this won't happen. So for instance, if you complete a form that was issued in January of 2016 and you submit it in June of 2016, the chances are IRCC will accept these forms. However, if you have a form that was from 2015, they will most likely refuse your application. In order to verify when the forms will be updated or how old the form that you're using is, you can look at the bottom left-hand corner of the forms. It will show the month and the year. Another common mistake on spousal sponsorship applications is the questions on the forms. This is the most important as well as the most confusing part of the spousal sponsorship application, as most often individuals are confused as to what the question is asking them and often answer incorrectly. This can unfortunately cause a refusal of their application. An example of this is who is determined to be a dependent. For instance, if you have a relative that is financially dependent on you and you include them as a dependent on your application form, this can be incorrect and the immigration officer can refuse your application. It is very important to research and to ask questions before filling out your forms in case you have any questions or are unsure of what the questions are asking of you before you submit your application. Another common mistake on spousal sponsorship applications is leaving blank spaces in the forms. Usually, Immigration Canada will indicate whether there can be a gap or not on the questions in the forms. However, it is very vital for you to fill out all of the questions and fill out all of these sections accordingly, as they are very particular with that. If something does not apply to you, it is preferable to say that it does not apply to you instead of just leaving it blank. If you do end up leaving any spaces or empty gaps in your application, this can be a cause for refusal. Another common mistake on spousal sponsorship applications is who is the sponsor and who is the applicant. The sponsor would be the Canadian citizen or permanent resident in Canada. The applicant is the spouse that is applying to come to Canada as a permanent resident. Luckily, on the forms, they will indicate who needs to fill out which form as stating the sponsor or the applicant. Therefore, it is extremely important for you to read the forms diligently and see exactly who needs to fill out which section. In every immigration application, there are specific documents as well as evidence that you need to provide to Immigration Canada in order to support the reasoning of why you need to come to Canada. In the case of spousal sponsorship applications, it is very important for you to indicate your proof of marriage and show supporting documents indicating that you do have, in fact, a real marriage. Most supporting documents are photos of the couple at different points in their life as well as their marriage ceremony, correspondence between the two such as emails, love letters, any correspondence such as WhatsApp, Facebook, things like that. If any gifts were exchanged between the two, as well as any gifts receipts that you can provide, as well as any trips that you have taken together. If unfortunately you do not have this sufficient evidence to provide the immigration officer, they can unfortunately refuse your application. This can be refused based on the insufficient documentation or evidence to prove that your relationship is genuine and real. If you have a spouse that you would like to sponsor, we can definitely help you with the process. Here at Akrami & Associates, we have had a lot of experience dealing with all immigration matters, and we have helped many of our clients be reunited with their spouses in Canada. If you feel like you want to sponsor your spouse, please feel free to contact us. With Akrami and Associates, there's always a way.